Hey, what's up, folks? What's going on? Welcome back. It's time for another episode of Eddie G's Comic Culture. Once again, I'm your host, the one and only Eddie G, here bringing it to you guys live and in full effect for the new year. That's right. Happy New Year, folks. It's 2018. If you guys are just joining me for the first time, I like to let you guys know that first of all, thank you for watching. And I always start off my episodes just as an FYI with shout outs, of course. First and foremost, the show is still sponsored by the great folks over at Black Apparel. So make sure you check out their website at www.blackapparelblk.com. These guys have some awesome merchandise for you guys to check out in case you're looking for some new gear, and also some great content regarding beautiful artwork. Big ups to my brother and good friend of mine, Kevin Seawright. And up next, I want to give a special shout out as well to my Instagram family. First and foremost, Blu-ray Dan, who's been a great inspiration as for why I'm starting this show. Happy New Year once again, brother, and congratulations on your weight loss journey. He's got an awesome page. If you guys have an Instagram account, make sure you check it out. He keeps it constantly refreshed with upcoming releases on Blu-ray and Ultra 4K Blu-ray. Still haven't got my Ultra 4K Blu-ray player, unfortunately. That was kind of on my Christmas list this year, but who knows? God willing, I guess I might be able to get something later on this month. But definitely make sure you guys check him out. He does awesome unboxings and reviews from all kinds of films, and I mean all kinds of films from past to present. Please definitely make sure you subscribe to his channel on YouTube as well, because he also has he also as well has a show. Hence the reason for the inspiration. Last and not least, of course, a good friend of mine, Dennis Knight. He's a writer on the indie label over in New York City, Pronto Comics. He's writing currently the indie Cross comic, which is an excellent book. So make sure you guys also check that out and pick it up as well whenever you're around your local comic shop. If they don't have it, ask about it. So, with that being said, thank you guys once again for tuning in. Happy New Year. It is January 1st, or what's left of it anyway. I know a lot of you guys were probably having some serious hangovers last night. I know parties galore. Every New Year's Eve is a party galore, throughout the country. So it doesn't, throughout the world mainly, but I kept it low key. I didn't really do anything much. I stayed home with the family, wife and kids, and just chilled out, vegged out. Not much, man. Got really cold out here anyway, so there's not much that I can really like. There's not much I really like doing out when the weather starts dropping, like when the temperature drops, anyways. But yeah, man, welcome back, man. Thank God we made it. It's 2018. Congratulations. Let's discuss. I didn't want to. I was really debating on actually doing an episode today, guys. I didn't really want to. I was kind of going back and forth with it, going through the motions or whatever. Just in my own personal reflective state, actually. And I wanted to talk about, some future plans as to what's going to happen with the films as far as everything is concerned. What do we got coming up with entertainment? I see next month, which is another reason why I did wanted to make this episode. We do have Black Panther coming out next month, so which is actually pretty awesome. A highly anticipated film in the first 2 months, and in the first quarter of the year, which is very, very uncommon, to be quite honest, because it doesn't really happen often at all. We usually, if that January's regularly a dead month at the cinemas. Nothing interesting happens or comes out at that time. Only in February do you start seeing certain things pick up, and necessarily that's not even much, to say the least, because it's usually rom-coms. But then again, it's been things have been changing recently and at the movie, so I can't even really say, who's to say what's going to be the format of what's going to happen with the next 2 months. But definitely at this point, I mean, I cannot contain my excitement for Black Panther because, of course, right after Black Panther we have Infinity War to look forward to, which is a major thing. We've got a lot of good movies this year happening. Between that, we've got New Mutants. We have of course, the Infinity War. We have Deadpool 2 coming out. We have The Incredibles 2, another highly anticipated. To me, that's that's actually my most highly anticipated Pixar film from Disney. And I can't believe it took them this long for them to get a sequel off the damn ground, considering the fact that the first movie is already 13 years old. But be that as it may, we're finally getting a sequel to The Incredibles, which is awesome. Thank goodness for that. And of course, further down the line, we have some other films such as, we got Halloween, We got Halloween. We got, what do you call it? We got Aquaman happening this year. We've got quite a few things happening this year. So let's keep our fingers crossed. As far as the oceans, I just caught I just caught the teaser trailer for Ocean's 8 with Sandra Bullock. I'm really not interested. I'm sorry. It doesn't look so fresh at all. That this what is Hollywood doing right now that's really tapping out on these ideas? Like, that's what is this? Was there really a need? Was it really a need for an all-female cast remake of the Ocean's 11 films? It really wasn't. I would have rather have seen something different, or another heist, or another caper that wasn't under that moniker, or set in that universe. It just makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the main things I'm really not looking. That's one of the first movies I'm really not looking forward to be quite honest. It doesn't seem appealing to me. Maybe who knows? And then another trailer could change my mind, and I may wind up having to wanting to see it. But so far as of now, it doesn't look too appealing as far as that's concerned. Of course, then we have Halloween happening this year. Uh, Jesus Christ, this year marks the 40th anniversary for Halloween, for the first Halloween film, to be quite honest. So now that we have this sequel coming out, it looks amazing, and I mean it's the delay. It's from the pictures that have been, the pre-production pictures that Jamie Lee Curtis herself has been tweeting. I've been very excited to see what's going on with that, so I'm very hyped to. That's actually one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Is Halloween. Considering David Gordon Green is now actually directing it, and Danny McBride is one of the writers actually on the film. So, considering his work on Alien Covenant, I'm actually pretty interested in seeing what's going to go on with this. But, yeah, man, wow, what a great way. What a great way. It's been a crazy year. 2017 has been a hell of a year regarding movies. Of course, the highlights of the films. The highlight movies this year have been Wonder Woman and Spider Man's Return, The Homecoming, of course, and Thor putting himself back on the map with Ragnarok. Although I still haven't seen that film just yet. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how I let that one slip past me. I mean, I know I don't. I'm not. I know I haven't. I know I've stated before that I'm not the craziest fan of the Thor movies, but the fact that there was the Hulk involved kind of pisses me off. That I totally missed that, because the Hulk is actually one of my all-time favorite Marvel characters. So the fact that I let that one get away, kind of like, it's one of those. It's like scratching at the back of my mind kind of deals. So, but definitely when that actually does come out, when it's actually officially released on digital and Blu-ray, I will be giving my review on that. And of course, Blade Runner 2049. Although I've been streaming it quite a bit, and it's been a great experience watching it at home, but I'm missing the fact that it's just, I wish I would have, I should have, I wanted to utilize so much. The thing is, living in Florida, the only IMAX theater that I have nearby me is just one. And when Blade Runner was released, it wasn't there for a long time. It was only there for about a week in the IMAX, which was, stupid, because I guess they just try to, they circulate the movie. They got to keep the heavy money makers circulating in that theater. So, like, the week after Blade Runner 2049, and I wanted to see it, I tried to see it that week again in IMAX. I couldn't, because the very next week was that Happy Death Day bullshit that came out, and I was totally knocked it out of the IMAX screening room, which pissed me the hell off, considering, yeah, I mean, I understand it did get good reviews or whatever for the most part, that it wasn't a terrible pile of crap, but first of all, these dumpster fire horror movies really are just like, they're not really the thing for me at all. It just, I don't know. It was just terrible. It though was definitely it, as far as I was concerned. That was a great feature for horror. Actually, I understand now why Stephen King was so impressed with that film. I just hope that they don't oversaturate it with the sequel, because there is a sequel coming up very soon. I mean, the movie, this movie made over $500 million for a Stephen King for a book for Stephen King book that was translated into film like that, to make that amount of money. I just hope that they put enough care in the world for it. The same way James Wan wasn't, it wasn't such a fluke with The Conjuring, and he delivered the second time around with the sequel. I hope they were able to actually replicate the magic with the sequel for it. But yeah, definitely, man. And all of course, then the Stranger Things season 2, a phenomenal season, by the way. But make sure you guys check it out. So it was just a pretty cool down. The only downfall, of course, was the Justice League and you know the somewhat slight letdown, I guess you could say, of the Last Jedi. That I didn't, the Last Jedi, of course, was my last film of this year and of 2017, and it wasn't. It wasn't a letdown, so to speak, but it definitely was a disappointment in certain aspects, and it was and I could see where the controversy is coming from. But for all that it's worth, it was still a good movie. It's still a good movie, very enjoyable, very much so fun. It's just it doesn't really, it doesn't hold up to the standards as it should have, and it kind of veered left in another way. Hopefully that it brings it back. I hope it veered left in such a way that I hope that J.J. Abrams can center it back on track for episode 9, as I'm pretty sure they are about to start filming soon. And let's see what's going to happen. Also, anyway, there's been a lot of behind the scenes, there's been a lot of official stills that have been released also, personally, from Aquaman, but nothing intense so far, so to speak. But I guess we just gotta have to wait for a teaser trailer to see what they're gonna do with this. I mean, with the recent developments of DC films, especially with the less than lackluster Justice League in theaters, unfortunately, a lot of things, I mean, this was bound to happen eventually. Unsurprisingly, this was eventually gonna be the ace in the fold. It was like one of the DC Cinematic Universe movies were eventually going to flop because they were not, they weren't built on a steady foundation. Every one of these movies were wobbly as hell, with the exception of Wonder Woman. Every one of these films have been nothing but an undesirable mess. And it's about time that DC gets it together, that Warner Brothers gets it together. So I'm hoping that with Aquaman's release this year, that we completely retcon and reboot all of the bullshit. Like, seriously, all of that bullshit. I'd say, fuck it, bring back General Zod. If we can bring back General Zod, let's bring back another crack at. We definitely need another crack at Doomsday because of what happened in Dawn of Justice. So quite a bit of things have happened that were good, but there was also some bad as well. However, there is some great hope with, as I said, Aquaman. We have Shazam very closely about to start filming soon, which is very highly anticipated at this point, and Wonder Woman 2 as well. So with that being said, one of the main reasons why I also wanted to do an episode today was I wanted to discuss about an article that I had read regarding Jodie Foster making certain comments about comic book films. And with that being said, I was actually pretty upset. I was actually quite upset because this seems to be becoming like some sort of a habit now from certain actors of a certain generation or filmmakers of a certain generation. And right now, because of the influx of CBMs and the way the comic book movies have been literally flourishing throughout the last 10 years, it seems like a lot of these actors and a lot of these directors have a bone to pick with the genre. And one of them today, as I said before, one of them is of course, what's her name, Jodie Foster. So as I said before, Jodie Foster, she starts off with this, going to the movies has become like a theme park. Studios making bad content in order to appeal to the masses and shareholders is like fracking. You get the best return right now, but you wreck the earth. And then she goes on and says it's ruining the viewing habits of the American population and then ultimately the rest of the world. I don't want to make $200 million movies about superheroes. Now, apart from all of that, she does go on to say that She would actually consider making a superhero movie, but only if it was one with really complex psychology. So at this point, it offers me some sort of an insight as to what's going on here. Like I said, this has been an ongoing. This seems to be sort of a trend. It started a while back. Quite a few of the actors that have been, successful in certain genres seem to have been taking aim at the CBMs, at the comic book movie genre. Mel Gibson was one last year, and of course, Jodie Foster is now the most recent one. My thing is this: they're not bad actors. They're not. They won awards from beforehand. They've got a lot of they've won critical acclaim many time over for their works in cinema. With that being said, a lot of these actors and filmmakers, they want to look at other stories, and they're making it seem as though the superhero movies are actually affecting, but the smaller films, the smaller projects that they're willing to do. Okay, in what way? I mean, as opposed to now, I could see a difference. Now I could see the difference, basically, because it's not like it was back in the '90s, and not in the like in the '90s, in the early, like throughout the entire '90s, throughout the decade of the '90s entirely, and in the early 2000s. It wasn't like that. It was we always had these little those little, what do you call it, those little films, those little dramas and little comedies that they used to come up every now and again, and every now and again they would always try to be it would they would always, I don't know what to say. I don't even know what to say. My palette when it comes to movies is very specific, and it doesn't fall for anyone. It doesn't fall for just everyone. It really doesn't. I have my opinions just like everyone else has their opinions. But to bash an entire genre, to say that it's affecting what the work that they've been put out, it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. And they know it for a fact. The only reason why they're acting this way is because what? The studio's not ponying up enough cash for them to go ahead and distribute these disgusting dumpster fires. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm sorry guys, but 9 times out of 10, I can't really tell the difference between half of those fucking movies that they ever came up with. Whether it was romance, whether it was comedy, whether it was drama, whether it was dramedy, whether it was a bromance, whether it was whatever spin they tried to make of these movies, I can't tell the difference because they're all the same generic shit. Is Jodie Foster wrong to have an opinion? No, she's not wrong to have an opinion. Is her opinion in the right? No. I personally don't see it at all. What happened? What, because the studio doesn't want to dump out millions of dollars for Contact Part 2? If I didn't know any better, she made a fucking movie with Mel Gibson. This was when Mel Gibson was going through all. Remember when Mel Gibson was going through all the hoopla with the media about him being anti-Semitic and racist and just a belligerent drunk, and Hollywood had literally did all but had literally just like cut him off at the helm. She was the one that actually had, like, stepped up to the plate and tried to put him back into the spotlight, but to no avail, obviously. By using the platform, by using that platform of having, like, a sentimental, touching story, and I think that shit revolved around a fucking puppet or some shit like that, like a hand puppet that she had, and it was just. It was such a sad and putrid attempt to try to market this person back into the masses again, you know. But it's not the first time that she's made movies like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure, like, I haven't followed her quite, I'm going to be honest, I haven't followed Jodie Foster for quite some time. Other than, I appreciated, the only time I really, really, really loved her was The Silence of the Lambs. That's it. That's really it. That was the only time I really actually appreciated her. I think I saw The Accused when I was a kid at one point, but that was so long ago I didn't even, and that's one of the movies I actually, and I know she won an Oscar for it too, but that's one of the movies I just completely overlooked and just didn't care for. It's like, who cares? Whatever. It's, and the same thing happened with Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson, who said the same exact thing, like, oh, Hollywood is just dumping out millions and hundreds of millions of dollars of these movies. Well, what's the point? I mean, listen, the industry has changed so drastically between pirated movies and streaming, and Studios just don't want to dole out that kind of money for these small projects, because quite honestly, quite frankly, the returns don't match up. They really don't. They really don't match up. The box office receipts really don't tally up to what they were looking for. So in other words, they were just losing time. They're just losing money, pumping dollars into these projects that really have no play. That really, in all honesty, really have no place as a theatrical release. And if anything, streaming is an even better venue for them, because this way there's actually more content that people can actually stay home, instead of rather going out to drop 12 to 13 bucks on a ticket for a movie that really doesn't even need to be in cinema. It doesn't need to be paid. Like, you don't have to pay $13 to see some sort of drama on a big screen. You really don't. That's a television viewing. That's television viewing material. You know, unless the cinematics are completely, unless the visualization is needed for that, then yeah, I could understand it. But to be dulling out $10 million projects left and right, or 20 million projects, because realistically speaking, these movies are cheap as shit. Those movies are cheap as all hell. But these superstar actors and actresses, they need that payday. They don't work for peanuts. They don't work for pennies to the dollar. These people come out with, like, they have, like, they're contracted to make 20 to 30 million to 20 to, anywhere from 20 to 30 million dollars for a movie, per movie. Okay, factoring that, that's not even factoring the cast. That's not even factoring in the rest of the cast and the crew, shooting locations, and all that stuff. So, in other words, why should anyone dole out the millions of dollars that they want for their little pet projects? If they were such passionate people, if they were so passionate about their projects, why don't they take a page out of Mr. Ryan Reynolds' book and use some of their own money to distribute the movies? That's my proposition to Miss Jodie Foster. I know she's got the money for it. I know she's got the money for it. She started She started in a lot of films, a lot of well-made, critically acclaimed films. She has got the money for it. If that's the case, front it for yourself. Same goes with Mr. Mel Gibson. He was another one who demanded 20 million a picture. So don't tell me that these guys don't have the funds for it. Just because the studios don't show the interest in any one of those artsy fartsy films, and I'd rather see, because call me crazy, but the movies are an event, and they're not cheap. As I said before, it's not $7 anymore when you pay. You know what I'm saying? The film industry has not been a cheap industry for quite some time now. So to be throwing away money on nonsense is not something I would encourage myself, or I would not encourage anybody to do. So with that being said, I really hope that they can take a look at themselves. It's sad because they're becoming has-beens at this point to me. Like, I'm not even, the more that they look to bash a certain group of films, and in particularly so, while they just go ahead and sidestep the other atrocities that they themselves have been putting out, I have no reason to listen to these people. I find it all the more reason to make them, just to find them laughable, because they're jokers. They're literally jokers. They're not restricted in any way, shape, or form. Okay, they're not. They're really not. They have the means for them to go ahead and be as artistic as they want to, and they don't need the studios run. They don't need the studio support for that. They don't need the studio support system for that. So it's very offensive to see these actors and actresses coming out of the woodworks now, because I guess what and it pains me to say it, because I don't want to think the worst of it. I really don't want to think the worst of these people. I know they're pretty decent, actors and actresses. They're very well trained in the art form, but they don't need to be so pretentious about it. And in particularly so as they have their own misses. Not every one of those things were a hit, and they know that for damn sure. So why should anyone, give me a break? So again, give me a break. As far as Jodie Foster's concerned, and Mel Gibson is concerned, fuck off. Who cares? Nobody's paying to see. Nobody wants to see Lethal Weapon 5, and nobody wants to see Contact 2. Contact harder. Sorry. All right. So with that being said, I had to go off on my little diatribe, but I just wanted to keep this a pretty brief show and discuss of what's coming up, and just throw that. I wanted to pepper in that Jodie Foster article as well too, guys. But let me know what you guys think about that once again, and you already know what's the deal. I'm gonna close it up real quick because, like I said, I didn't want to be here too long with you guys, but definitely did starting off the new year right, and I wanted to start it off with with you folks, letting you guys know that I will be out here, and but you know the drill. There's the comment section below. Any questions, any comments, any suggestions, anything, or if you just want to have a discussion or converse, hit me up and let me know what's up. Anything you guys want to see or discuss in future episodes, put it out there in the comment section, and I will gladly answer you guys. Okay, but once again, I am going to be I'm going to be breaking off before you guys can go ahead and get sick of me. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I love you all. And once again, Happy New Year's and peace and love to all of your family. And I'll be seeing you guys next time. Stay tuned for those video updates on future episodes. Until then, take care.